Didn't ease that transition?
Yeah, it has helped. I think other people too. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hall, Kelsey Mitchell. They all great people to be around. They help me when I don't know things. They know the system really well, so I ask them a lot of
Pay
questions.
attention to what just happened. Raven Johnson mentioned 4 teammates who have helped her adjust to the WNBA: Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell. Caitlin Clark was mentioned third, not first. In a league where rookies are usually expected to highlight the biggest star first, this is noticeable. Small choices like this can say a lot about the team culture Indiana is building right now, where every player and role seems to matter equally, including top defenders and key contributors.
Yeah, my defense tenacity. I'm like a gnat on the ball. Every time when I get the defense, I want to be the person to turn people over and give my teammates extra possessions to shoot the ball or whatever that may be. But yeah, when it comes to defense, I think that's what
That's the word she started with: defense. Not scoring, not assists, and not even playing next to a generational talent. Defense. Raven Johnson was the 2024 NCAA Defensive Player of the Year at South Carolina. She forced turnovers, created extra possessions, and made life difficult for opposing guards throughout college basketball, and now she's in Indiana. This is the same Indiana team that finished around the middle of the league defensively last season. They've now added multiple players from South Carolina who are known for one thing: lockdown defense.
Seeing training camp yesterday, I was like, this is how we practice. Like, it's fast-paced, it's very physical. They did a lot of things. Every drill is intense. Like, you got to go at 100 miles per hour. So I think that's what Coach Staley helped us when it came to college. But just bringing your pro habits. Even it's days that you probably don't even want to be here, and you might be yourself. But I mean, you have teammates who uplift you and who hold you accountable to things. So I think pro habits.
Dawn Staley doesn't just coach basketball; she builds professional habits in her players. Her practices are fast, physical, and every rep is done with full intensity. When Raven Johnson arrived at Indiana Fever training camp, she said it felt just like South Carolina, and that's not by chance. The Fever aren't only picking talented players, they are targeting athletes from a program known for producing WNBA-ready defenders. South Carolina players don't need much time to adjust because they show up already prepared to play at a high level.
I mean, this is home. I think, when season ended last year, I knew this was where I wanted to be. I've been here for 4 seasons, and I feel like we had a great momentum last season. We're able to accomplish more than we had in the past, and I think for me, I just want to keep growing on that, building on that, and building with this group.
What is it about Indy that you've enjoyed so much that's made it feel like home for you?
I mean, the fans are great. From the moment I got here my rookie year, even though we didn't have the best year on the court, they welcomed me with open arms.
What makes this interesting is that Lexi Hull re-signed with Indiana. She could have entered free agency, looked at other teams, or tried to increase her value after a strong 2024 season. Instead, she was on her phone at 7 o'clock, spending time tracking who was being drafted and where players were going. That doesn't look like someone planning to leave. It looks like someone who believes in the team's direction. She even said, "This is home." After 4 seasons in Indiana, even though she is from the West Coast and has no family ties to the city, she decided to stay. She said the fans made her feel at home from her rookie year, even when the team was struggling.
I think, at the end of the day, we built together so much chemistry. We were together through all the adversity, and I think from top to bottom, everyone stayed ready. And I think that's the sentiment that we all have moving forward. It's like, you don't know when your number is going to be called, but we believe in you when it does. And I think that's just something all of us are taking forward into the season.
Aaliyah came in yesterday. She talked about being whole again, with Caitlin back, with somebody back. What does it mean to come in with everyone being healthy?
Chemistry is the word she keeps using. The team went through tough moments last season and came out of it together. They built real trust, and everyone stayed prepared no matter how much they played. That's the base they're now building on as new players join. Aaliyah Boston also talked about feeling whole again with Katie Lou Samuelson and Damiris Dantas back healthy. Last season, both were mostly sidelined, but they still contributed in any way they could. Now that they're fully back on the court, everything changes: leadership, experience, and energy. When veteran players return at full strength, it also shifts the locker room dynamic in a big way.
Kind of excite you to be, given the fact how much you lean on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, defense wins championships. That's always been what my coaches have said through my entire career. And I think to have that be kind of our foundation and build off of that, I think that's going to help us with a lot of success. We didn't finish where we wanted to in the defensive rating last year within the league, and hoping to build up and get to the top of that leaderboard.
Defense wins championships. Lexi Hull has heard that her whole career, and she's making it clear that this is what Indiana is building on. Last season, the Fever didn't finish where they wanted in defensive rankings, and this year they're aiming to be near the top. The important idea is that good defense helps everything else. When a team gets stops, it leads to fast breaks, easier scoring chances, and more confidence. Once that happens, the offense usually improves too. Defense and offense work together, and that's the blueprint the team is following.
Efficient offensively and defensively, playing defense without fouling, knocking down the open shots, spacing the floor as well as I can. Just little things, really.
Like making league history with that full contract.
I don't know if it's league history after I see everybody else's numbers now. But, I was grateful. It was humbling for me and my family. You guys know what I kind of been going through the last 2 or 3 years, so it was big for my family. And I'm proud of like what I've been able to accomplish. But it's humbling. It's humbling because you see those kind of numbers and you don't think it's possible. So
let's break down what this roster really means. Indiana now has several strong defenders from South Carolina, along with veteran players returning from injury and role players who are committed to the system. Raven Johnson brings a level of defensive pressure that can completely change possessions. She isn't focused on the spotlight or the pressure of playing alongside Caitlin Clark. She's focused on what she does best, forcing turnovers and creating extra opportunities for her teammates. That's a clear skill set, and she understands her role. Her draft process wasn't simple. She spoke with multiple teams in June, had positive conversations, but didn't know where she would end up. When Indiana called, everything moved quickly. Right after that, Lexi Hull texted her to congratulate her and welcome her to the team.
Yeah, we were there Friday to Sunday, so, just a crazy sporting event. Unlike anyone I've ever been to, the energy is so different because you're sitting there and you're walking around hole to hole following golfers. You can just feel the pressure that they have, and they somehow are able to play with such a composed nature, and it's just so cool to watch. And it's funny because there's times out there when you don't have a phone, you hear a roar happening from a hole away, and you're like, what happened? And you're just waiting for the scoreboard to change, and then you see it. So it's just, there's little things about it that make it really special, and it's obviously one of the best sporting events in the world for a reason. Continuing to be efficient,
now watch this. Lexi Hull spent 3 days at the Masters, one of the most prestigious events in sports. What stood out to her wasn't the fame or the atmosphere, it was the pressure. She watched golfers deal with intense moments, stay calm, and perform under that kind of weight. She said you can feel it in the air, hear the crowd from far away, and wait on the scoreboard to see what happened. That's the kind of pressure elite athletes understand, and it's similar to playoff basketball.
Four makes it challenging. Did you even consider anywhere else?
I think any competitor does. But for all the right reasons, I knew Fever was a priority. I knew that I wanted to kind of be a Fever girl again in a certain way. My relationships that I built with AV, CC, and even Lexi and Soph and all those guys, it was family vibes. So I couldn't I couldn't shake it and let it go.
What was it like for you as everybody else begins to sign also, and you keep the score that you're sitting there talking about?
I'm proud of the stuff that AV's been able to do and sign for, and CC been able. I think it's dope. I think it's I don't know. It's the future of everything. So you kind of
efficiency. That's what Lexi Hull says is the name of the game. Efficient offense, efficient defense, not fouling, hitting open shots, spacing the floor, and focusing on the small details. She's not talking about flashy highlights or viral moments. She's focused on what actually wins games. When she looks back on her strong performance last season, she feels grateful for herself and her family. Not for attention or stats, but for what it meant to her personally after everything she has gone through in recent years. That kind of humility and perspective matters, especially on a roster like this. This Fever team is full of talent, and ego could easily become a problem. But when veterans focus on efficiency and winning, and rookies focus on defense and accepting their roles, it creates something solid. Indiana has built this step by step. They recognized a weakness in their defense and brought in players from programs known for strong defensive systems. They kept veterans who already built chemistry and believe in the culture. They created an environment where players from far away still choose to stay because the team feels like home. Raven Johnson is now under pressure. Every possession she plays will be watched closely, especially playing alongside a star like Caitlin Clark. But she isn't scared. She learned from experienced players at South Carolina and now from veterans in Indiana. She stays true to herself, positive, energetic, and focused on defense. The front office has built something intentional, a defensive identity, a culture based on accountability and chemistry, and a roster built around specific roles and strengths. It's not just about one player, it's about building a real contender. The question now is whether this approach will work at the highest level. Can Indiana's defensive identity translate to the WNBA? And can a rookie like Raven Johnson handle the pressure night after night? Either way, this team is clearly being built with a plan, and the league is